And we want to welcome everybody who is here in person and online. This moment, roll call.
Trustee Acosta? Trustee Kyle?
Here.
Vice President Larson?
Here.
Trustee Roth? Trustee Sanchez?
Here.
Trustee Van Allen?
Here.
President Williams?
Here. And do we have anybody
Stop.
attending remotely?
Excuse me, sorry. I have to do the
Oh,
student
student
trustee.
trustees.
My apologies. Student trustee Guillen Martinez? Student trustee Amor?
Here. Anybody that will be participating with SB at 707 remotely?
There have been no requests for remote attendance, President Williams.
All right, thank you. And for those who can and are able, we'd ask you to please stand as we do the Pledge of Allegiance that will be led by Superintendent Sabah.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, wonderful. At this time, I'm going to ask if we can have the approval of the agenda.
So moved.
You have a first and a second? Huh? Lunch. We're going to go ahead and take a small step back. And we're going to do our land acknowledgement. The land on which we gather is the unceded territory of the Waswas speaking UP tribe, the Yamamutsin tribal band comprised of the descendants of indigenous people taken to Mission Santa Cruz and San Juan Bautista during the Spanish colonization of the Central Coast is today working hard to restore traditional stewardship practices on these lands and heal from historical trauma. And I believe we have a first and a second for approval of the agenda. Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Noes? Passes. At this time, we will open it up to public comment. This is the opportunity for the public to address the board regarding items not on the agenda. Each member will have 3 minutes on a specific topic. Do we have any requests for public comment?
Yes, President Williams, we do. We have 3 requests for public comment, starting with Sebastian Indriga Williams.
Hello, everybody. My name is Sebastian Indriga Williams, and I am here on behalf of the countywide BSU and also on behalf of the Race and Equity Committee of our school system. And I wanted to come here today to talk a little bit about our advisory's history of the race and equity. And I wanted to first start in 2020 when George Floyd protest energized young Americans to demand and work for equality, fairness, and justice in our school systems. And that year, that's when the superintendent's student advisory on race and equity was formed to talk about, the injustices that happen in our world and how that kind of contributes to our school systems. And now to elaborate on what I am here today to speak upon with my fellow students right here is that we want to make recommendations to the superintendent on actions to ensure safe, welcoming, and inclusive and supportive school communities for each and every student.
Thank you.
Next, we have Leon Clark.
Okay, so committee and recommendation. Okay, so so committees and recommendations to board. Pass a resolution eliminating the use of the N-word and all hate speech. Revise the board policies on non-discrimination and harassment. We have a copy of the our resolution for each individuals of the board and for the public. So we did group work, campaign, and visual communication. We had a slogan, "Don't hate, appreciate," and also better words and better world. We had a students agreement and pledges, restorative learning and accountability, education group, PBIS, lesson development, board resolution, and board policies and board presentation.
Thank you.
Next, we have Pedro Nadir Camilo.
Hi, so my name is Pedro Nadir Camilo. I'm a junior at Santa Cruz High School, and I'm here representing Santa Cruz High Black Student Union. So I want to talk a little bit about why does our resolution focus on hate speech, specifically the N-word. So students have not only made it clear to us, but to their teachers, their fellow pupils, and their teachers that hate speech is an issue that is very real and that needs to be resolved. This issue, if continued, can form a culture that accepts and normalizes hate speech. So our resolution specifically focuses on hate speech as it consistently impacts the culture and environment that it is present in. This means that whenever hate speech is present, the more it will be used and the more acceptable and normal it is considered to be. This causes hate speech to lose the intent behind it, and so as a result, many students continue speaking it even though they do not mean to offend or have prejudice against anybody. Often when this begins to happen, as I have learned from personal experience, is that students of color begin to conform and accept this hate speech, which causes many mental health risks, as well as it causes them to sort of dislike themselves and be ashamed of who they are. Our resolution aims to kill this issue at its source and prevent this sort of domino effect from ever starting. If we are able to eliminate hate speech, we will give students the power to shape their schools and culture into something positive and beneficial for all. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I know we normally don't comment on these items that are not on the agenda. Did you have some more to say? That we don't normally comment or make decisions or discuss, but I do want to thank you for bringing forth this resolution, and although we can't act on it, we will be sure to take it to our committee of policies where we can talk about integrating your request here. And so thank you. We always appreciate when students come to us with something that is important to them, and we want to make sure that we're listening and we're understanding and taking the actions that we need to. Just comment.
I would also really like to thank you guys. I have seen firsthand and observed this happening, and it really frustrates me, and it's like completely inappropriate. And I think what you guys are doing is a great idea, and we definitely need teachers and schools to be more accountable for all these people that are like saying slurs, especially the N-word. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Moore. All right, thank you. Were there any more public comments for us this afternoon?
No request for public comment at this time, President Williams.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to move on to item 6, which is our student trustees report, and we'll hear from Student Moore.
Okay, so this past month I got to do 3 major events that were pretty cool. So the first event was elevating LGBTQ plus inclusion for Santa Cruz County businesses and nonprofits. Basically, I got to speak to a bunch of local businesses about sort of what makes a business feel inclusive, what like things they can do to make things more queer friendly for customers, as well as the employees, because I also share my experience working as an employee at local businesses and what they can do to improve. Another thing that I was super hyped to engage in was the 2026 Youth Civics Summit. It was really cool. Some of the things were like that I got to do. Like I learned stuff that I previously didn't know or stuff added to my current knowledge. Some of the activities include giving feedback on our current government. I even got to speak to one of our supervisors on the county board of supervisors for our, county, and that was pretty cool. I also I really liked doing a mock election, which I was very interested in, and one of the ones that got voted in the majority was 16-year-olds being able to, like, should we lower the voting age to 16 for voting in state like matters? And the everyone or the majority was yes. So I thought that was pretty cool. And the major thing that I would like to talk to you guys about today was I got to visit a lot of the alternative schools. I would say the major problems, or let me just say the major things, the good things first. All the students really like their schools, they like their teachers, they feel safe at school, they like their community, they feel like their needs are being met with like their IEP 504s, like all that kind of stuff. They really like their staff, which I think is like such a major thing at schools. And they feel like they're like academically challenged in a way that's like not too hard. It feels good. And they feel like they can ask for help if needed from the staff. Okay, now let's get to what needs work. Our major problem is food. The students hate the like school lunch that we provide, like the meals. They're calling it yucky and soggy and all these things, and I don't disagree with them personally. So every student except for Cypress had that issue, but Cypress grows their own food and they have their own garden and kitchen, so that is not an issue for them. But what the students would like is ingredients to sort of make their own meals, like for lunches. Some of the schools have like money for snacks, but that money for snacks doesn't last the whole month that they have that budget for, and the students can't be like just eating snack. There's a lot of food waste happening because the students like don't like the food and they're not eating it. So that's something we can do better on. Another thing that we need to do better on is we need more accessibility for our students. One issue that we have in particular is at Star Community School. There's a student there with physical disabilities who would like there to be buttons to open the doors. Accessibility is really important, and independence is really important for those of our students with disabilities, and it's really important that we provide that. And also there's another student there that has a fainting disorder, so they would like a bed to lay down on, so they're not having to lay down on the floor, when they pass out, which I think that's just common sense, and we should definitely get them that. And so for attendance, most of the kids are like, yeah, I like coming to school now, which is why they have like better attendance. But I talk to them, I'm like, hey, when you're not coming to school, what's the issue? And a lot of the students, they live kind of far from school, or like I know the for Star Community School, their like bus breaks down, or they just are not able to get there quite right. And major issue for Cypress with their attendance is also being able to get to school. So a lot of the students live all over the place and they don't have a reliable like means of transportation to get to school. And so something I talked with them about is they would like a bus that could go to like the different counties and bring them there, because they have like 70 plus students, and I think it's appropriate for them to get to school, and it would definitely help with our attendance issues, which I know for every person in school we get like paid, and it's a big issue. So I think it's important to help our students get to school with a bus route. So for the food, I talked with all of the students about this idea of kind of making the list of meals that are provided, which I know some of them get their food from Harbor High, but the meals, they can do like a survey about this is the foods I don't like please get rid of this. They can have an opportunity to leave a comment and give suggestions for food that they do like. and also have the opportunity to make a list of foods that they would like to buy from the store, like to make their own food. And also, like, I talked to them about there being, like us providing a class on food safety and handling. That way they can get their certificate, they could get credits for making food. And just, I feel like that would be a great opportunity for them. So I would say those are for like food, that's like kind of what's needing to happen, and the students like that. They agree that that would be a good idea to do. So the students would like, the ingredients for the food, and also they would need a place to store it for like fridge spaces. And then the last thing I would like to say is at Cypress, there are issues with slurs and racism. So I think that's an issue kind of in general at a lot of these schools. Like I know it's kind of like an issue at El Nido and Escuela Quetzal. And so it's also an issue at Cypress, especially like saying the N-word, which we were just talking about. So I think those are like the main things I would like to bring up.
Thank you. Let's see here. Sorry. All right, we're going to go on to item 7, our consent agenda. And if there are any questions or comments, if not,
Move approval.
we have a first and a second.
Aye.
Any noes? Abstentions? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
If I could just make a comment about Trustee Moore, I just want to make sure that the board knows that we'll follow up with the recommendations that Trustee Moore has put together. And I also wanted to share that Trustee Moore is going to have to leave early because he has been selected to receive a Community Hero Award at the Warriors game tonight. And so if you see him depart a little bit early, he's going to be being honored tonight. Is that what? I think that's what it is. I believe that's the name of it. We'll check. Community Champion. Sorry, Community Champion Award for his efforts and on behalf of the queer students in the community, and just for being a champion for youth and for justice.
Also, something I would like to bring up that I forgot to put in my report that I do want to bring up is next Wednesday, I am very happy. I have the opportunity to go to the Capitol with other queer students in our county, and we get to speak to politicians about like legislature and like how they can help support queer people. So I'm super hyped for that.
Congratulations and good luck. All right. So correspondence, are there any additional correspondence that came in after our agenda was issued?
Yes, so I have attached into the board packet updated correspondence that was received on March 16th. It is the letter from our auditors as well as the audit report findings. So that was emailed to you on March 16th and added to the board packet after then.
Okay, moving on to our reports, discussions, and presentations. Are there any public comments on any of our agendized items? We will leave it open as well.
No public comments have been submitted,
Okay.
President Williams.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so our first presentation, 10-1, Labor Negotiation Sunshine for Dr. Savant.
Yes, it is my pleasure to welcome Rory Bruce, who is the president of our CSEA Chapter 484, who is going to be joining us to propose, to sunshine certain items that will be a part of our negotiations and bargaining unit. As always, I like to share with the board how important it is for us to have a positive and thriving working relationship with our negotiating units or our bargaining units, and just really grateful for the leadership that both CSEA and our Teachers Association are demonstrating. So, Mr. Bruce, would you like to join us and make this official?
Thank you so much, Ferris. I really appreciate it. And thank you all, board members. I appreciate the opportunity. It's called this my annual pilgrimage to the speaker, I call it, to come to the Hill and let you guys know. I just want to say very briefly how inspired I am by everybody's comments from our students and tonight. And that was really heartening. It really reinforces what we're all about. And I'm here today to let you know about the folks that help support our students, the 170 or so members that we have in CSEA. We're the California School Employees Association for our classified staff. Every year, as you all probably are aware, we open up 2 articles per contract. We open up pay and allowances and health and welfare benefits. That's Articles 11 and 12. They're fairly self-explanatory. Article 11, pay allowances, we're proposing a modest increase to the classified salary schedule that meets the recent increases in the cost of living to our members. We would also like to increase the rate of pay for longevity increments from 2.5% to 3%. That's for Article 11. Article 12, health and welfare benefits. All we simply like to do is propose a continuation of the annual 8% cap on increases in the cost of insurance. And I believe that affects all of our employees. So it's something that we like to share with the teachers and other staff as well. So those are our 2 automatic opening things. But we also, per our contract, are allowed to open up 2 additional contracts. And this year, we're going to open up per member, our member survey. We survey all of our members and we get all these comments back. This year, the negotiation team wants to pursue opening Article 9, hours and overtime. We'd like to propose a 2-week notice be made in writing to employees when their shift changes. So if someone's working first shift, say in the maintenance department, and all of a sudden they have to take their kids to school, if they just need a little bit of notification, we'd like to propose a 2-week notification for changes to that. And we'd also like to propose, since this article is open, that employees all be paid out any unused compensatory time worked and the July 15th payroll. And I had a lot of support from our payroll department on that one. The other article that we want to open up this year is holidays, which is Article 10. For years, we've been talking about ways to honor the families and the people where our students come from. We have so many farm workers in South County, people who their parents were farm workers, their parents want their kids to be something besides farm workers. We want to honor that. We want to honor the workers who have really created this county. And so we would like to propose that, and I wanted to share, before I say this, I'd like to share Dr. Ferris Sabas, indicated how closely we work together. So this past year, we joined the holiday committee at the invitation of the administration. I just wanted to show you and point out how we cooperate so easily. We talked a little bit about this. But anyhow, we want to propose that we consider the Farm Workers Day be considered as a potential holiday, along with Indigenous and/or Indigenous Persons Day, to honor our community, to honor the people who lived here. We felt that was a really strong statement we want to make, considering all the political hoopla that we've been hearing in the news and everything. We want to show what our local roots are about and be more in tune with some of the other districts that have chosen these as holidays for their employees and students. So asking for consideration. So I would like to again thank you all so much. Thank you for your cooperation. We're so proud, all of us, to be able to work here for the Santa Cruz County Office of Education. This has been, for most of us, some of the best opportunities we've ever had in our life. So thank you. Any questions? Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Rory.
We'll move on to item 10.2, Sunshine with Santa Cruz County Employees Association with Dr. Sapa with the introduction.
Yes, thank you so much. So when we sunshine items for negotiations, there's always two sides. Our bargaining unit members identify articles for negotiation, and we also, the administration also identifies articles for negotiations. And so Becky's going to share the articles that we've identified, which are the same ones we always include as part of our process.
Good evening, Dr. Sabah, President Williams, and members of the board. So tonight I'm going to be doing the COE's portion of the sunshine per the Rhoda Act. So we want to acknowledge our great relationship with CSEA, California School Employees Association, Chapter 484. And we would also like to open Article 11, which is the pay and allowance, and Article 12, which is the health and welfare account. I want to do this out of respect for the employees to show them how much we value all of their hard work and make sure that we have a really wonderful relationship.
Thank you. Thanks, Becky.
On to item 10.3, Labor Negotiations Sunshine, Santa Cruz County Education Association. Dr. Sabah?
Yes. Sorry? Oh, wonderful. All right. So as we shared with our great partnership with CSEA, we also have our Teacher Association, which is Santa Cruz County Education Association. And I believe that Elizabeth Burnham Grau, who's the president of our Teachers Association, has joined us. Also, great pride in the very positive working relationship, always working to resolve any challenges that come up at the lowest level, and really create a thriving, supportive working environment, and really to honor the amazing staff and teachers that are really the backbone of our COE. So welcome, Ms. Burnham Grau. Thank you so much for joining us on Zoom today.
Of course. Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for those kind words, Superintendent. I have the honor of representing the certificated unit this evening, and I'd like to start by just expressing my gratitude to Superintendent Sabah, to all of you on the Board of Education, to the administration at the Santa Cruz County Office of Ed, to our incredible support staff, and to all of the community members here tonight. I'd also like to take a quick moment to express my family's gratitude for allowing me to Zoom, as it allowed me to attend our youngest child's last middle school soccer game. Your commitment in encouraging and supporting a community, student, and staff-centric atmosphere is part of what makes Santa Cruz COE such a beautiful and empowering organization. In these times, gratitude is powerful, and our unit wants to lead with our gratitude for all of you. The SCCEA, Chapter 236, chooses at this time to exercise its right by law to sunshine the following contract articles for a revised certificated employee successor agreement for the July 1, 2026 through July 30th, 2027 cycle. Article 6, compensation, and Appendix I, the certificated salary schedule. That's all we really have. So if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. We just really want to express our gratitude for all of you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Are there any questions from the board? You? Right. Moving forward, we have item 10.4. Sabah.
Yes, again, this is the administration's sunshining for our negotiations process. And again, I'll ask for Ms. Holker to sunshine the items that we've identified.
So we are going to be once again in negotiations with our wonderful the Santa Cruz County Education Association, the teachers union, and we want to open up Article 6, which is compensation. That also covers the health and welfare, so that's all within the same article. Then we would also propose to open Article 8, which is the certificated personnel evaluation. And that's just to get everything in compliance with statutory regulations. Make sure everything is fine. And again, I wanted to express my extreme gratitude for the relationship that we established with the unions.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Thank you for your leadership and for representing your unit members. And Rory, thank you for your leadership and for representing your unit members. It's an honor to work with both of you.
Thank you for those presentations, and we'll move on to item 10.5, which is the 2026 Civic Summit recap. Dr. Sabah and Ibarra.
Yes, I'm going to be introducing both Andres Ortiz and Nick Ibarra, who are going to be presenting a summary of the Youth Civic Summit, which took place just a few weeks ago. So this is very, very fresh for us, and we were so excited to be able to partner with some amazing partnerships, which you're going to be hearing about, and to create an opportunity for students to learn about, to share, to engage, and to think about that civic process. I believe that you would probably agree with me that this is, there couldn't be a better moment for this kind of work. And our youth are so inspiring and so passionate. And it was wonderful to share this Civic Summit time with them and to learn with them and to grow with them. And so we thought it would be great for the board to hear about this, because we're hoping this is going to be an ongoing annual tradition. And we want to make it bigger and better. And we're hoping to share a little bit about what that experience was. I believe Ms. Williams and Mr. Larson were there, and did I miss anybody? So thank you both for being a part of this and really being able to share that moment with us. So I'll turn it over to Nick and Andres to give us an overview.
Thank you, Dr. Sabah, and good evening, President Williams and members of the board. It is great to be looking at you all from this view with the beautiful new dais. I've been looking for an excuse, and great to be here with our Student Leadership and Engagement Coordinator, Andres Ortiz, who was our staff lead on this event. So before I hand it over to Andres to tell you more of the details, I wanted to tell you a little bit about our goals for the event and some of the history. Our goal for this event is really to provide a nonpartisan day of learning and empowerment around civic engagement, to give students the tools and encouragement and empowerment to understand the voting process, their role in it, and some of the skills around voting in politics and how to navigate that environment of information and misinformation. This event actually has its roots back in 2017, before I was here at the COE. That was when our office co-hosted it back then, and it was a great event. I had a chance to attend. I was at the Santa Cruz Sentinel at the time, and you can still find that article online if you're curious. Awesome event. And it went on until 2020, when we all know that the pandemic disrupted many of these large in-person gatherings, and our priorities shifted more to public health and behavioral health. And we've been thinking and talking about bringing it back for a while. And this year was the right year to do it, because we have an incredible partner in the clerk's office. And there's a lot to talk about that's new in terms of youth voting rights, some of the programs the state has launched, and really the interest that we see from youth in raising their voice and engaging in civic empowerment. This was the right moment. So that was really our goal. But rather than tell you more about it, for those of you who weren't able to make it, we wanted to share a quick clip. And if you could, oh yeah, go ahead and press play. Oh, sorry about that.
Good morning, everybody. I came to learn about how the voting process worked and how I can get involved and make an impact in the place around me. I learned that you can pre-register at 16 and 17, and that the city council is open to anyone who wants to let their voice be heard.
Next slide. Oh, I got the clicker. There we go. As you can see, it was a wonderfully vibrant event, lots of students. I also want to acknowledge our student trustee, Asha Moore, who was participating as a student during the day too. So thank you for being a part of the day. But I want to go over the structure of the overall event. So we opened up with a keynote introduction, 30 minutes long, so as to not drag it out. One of our main missions was for the event to be more interactive. Frequently when we get feedback from students about, different activities that we host around the county, one of the common refrains is that, they don't like to be talked at a lot. So after that introductory session, we then had the students rotate between 3 different breakouts. And as Nick mentioned, this was very much a team effort. So it was organizationally, we partnered with the elections office, with United Way of Santa Cruz County, and of course, Hartnell College, Cabrillo College, wrong county, that provided us with the awesome space. So aside from Cabrillo College, each of the organizations hosted a different breakout session. So our breakout session, the COEs, centered around media literacy and helping students identify how to tell real information from fake or dis or misinformation, as well as how to identify where their sources come from. The elections office hosted a breakout session called Elections 101, which featured a mock election that students got to vote on 3 different mock measures. And it was a really cool experience because they basically set up a voting center on stage in the Samper Auditorium. And it looked like a very real voting center. So the students, came up to the table, registered, they got their ballots, and then they went to their voting stations, and they actually got to fill it out by hand and then turn it in, and then they got a little I voted sticker at the end. And then the votes were counted throughout the day. So we've got lots of pictures in future slides. You'll see students, putting their ballots in the box. And then after that, we had County Clerk Tricia Weber answer questions that students had about the election process and how votes are counted. And then they actually got to see that play out in front of their eyes as members from the elections office went through and counted their votes during each session or each rotation. The third session was centered around the Children and Youth Bill of Rights. So United Way of Santa Cruz County brought in several local elected officials, and those elected officials took on a co-facilitatorship role where they led students through the Children and Youth Bill of Rights. And answered questions that students had about not only the Bill of Rights itself, but how students can be civically engaged if for some reason they cannot vote, if they're too young or due to their citizenship status, right? How can they still be a part of the civic process in their communities? Oh no.
You might go to the next slide for us.
There we go. Thank you. So a little bit more about student participation. We were able to get all 4 secondary high school districts to be a part of the event. So we threw their logos up there, but as you can see, there were many schools that were able to join and be a part of the day, including PCS, and several of our alternative education programs were represented throughout the day. Altogether, we had about 29 students from just from our programs alone. Overall, we had about 150 students. It's kind of hard to tell. We based that number off of the amount of votes that were cast in the mock ballot, but certain student groups get there late and so on and so forth. But yeah, we had about 150 students, and it was a great day. And so we look forward next year to having all comprehensive high schools and then growing that number even more. Our goal, I think Nick will get into this in a few slides, but our goal for next year is about 200 students at the very least. Next slide, please. All right, so these are just some photos, like I was saying, of students participating in the various breakouts. So the photo in the middle is where students registered, and then the one on the upper left-hand side is where students actually got to fill out their ballots. And then the other three are from United Way's breakout, where students got questions answered by local elected officials. I believe the one on the bottom left is Trustee Williams there talking to a group of students. You'll see it bigger when you see this when you see the slideshow. Next slide, please. All right, and so actually, I'm gonna turn it over to Nick.
So Andres mentioned the mock election, and one of the things that I really appreciated and respected about partnering with the clerk's office, as Andres mentioned, is how official the setup was. So this election was certified with the signature of our county clerk. It was cast on official ballot material on the actual paper, and electronic ballot options were provided as well. So this was the full election experience. And students were voting on 3 issues, which I'll just tell you in brief were lowering the voting age to 16. As you see, that measure carried with 75 to 66 with 1 overvote, which, as we know, is when somebody marks two answers on the ballot. And the second question, Measure B, was allowing redistricting outside of the decennial census, which we know has been a hot topic. And students there voted no, that they believe that redistricting properly belongs within and following the decennial census. And finally, a ban on cell phones at school, which we know our state has recently taken an opinion on. And here, students, perhaps somewhat unsurprisingly, voted that they would prefer to keep their cell phones. And I think back to you.
All right. So we did get some feedback from the students, which is necessary in terms of helping us shape and adjust for future events. We had several learning goals tied to the day. And so I just wanted to share a few of them. Most of our learning goals centered around the individual breakout sessions themselves so that we could gauge how effectively students are retaining the information. But this one I thought was particularly interesting. So after today, I have a better understanding of the election and voting process. So as you can see with based on the graph, we had about 60 respondents, which I consider to be a success. But of those 60 respondents, 90% of them agreed with this statement. And then there's a really cool quote here that we pulled from our comment section of our feedback form, which says, "I really enjoyed being in an environment that has been listening to me the whole day and understanding my perspective." And I think that just really encapsulates, one of our main goals of having uplifting student voice and having their perspectives be heard by, not just their school administrators and their teachers, but the decision makers in their communities, their community leaders. Next slide, please. Okay, and then here's another one. "After today, I have a better understanding of youth rights and civic participation." We had more than 93% of respondents agree with this statement. And I think that right there to me encapsulates like the success of the day. We really, want students to understand not only how they can participate, but the different ways that they can participate and how to navigate through the systems. So often we have students that, as we know, they have, really big concerns and they're really great at articulating those concerns. And I think one of our goals as educators is making sure that they understand how to work within the systems, our democratic systems, to enact that change and to have that change be long lasting and not just short. That something that can be, overturned or changed in a few years. So that's really encouraging to me. And then I love this comment from a student that said, "Best non-amusement park field trip I've gone on." So I consider that 5 stars. Thank you. Next slide, please. And I'm going to turn it over to Nick.
So where are we going from here? We had a lot of excitement, both from students and our partners. We had a recap meeting we've talked to our 3 partners, and we are all excited to bring this back in 2026, 27. So we're already looking at dates in possibly in February. We have yet to confirm it, but we're very excited to continue this tradition and build on it. And our goals for moving forward are really to listen to the student feedback. We had extensive student feedback that Andres summarized some of, as well as from our partners, and also just to now that we have replanted this flag, we lost some institutional memory since 2020, and we didn't get it on the district's calendars until the summer. So our goal is really to work with all of the school districts and all the local high schools to give them more of an opportunity and make it more accessible for the schools who were there and some of the schools who weren't, to send even more students next year. Next slide, please. And we would be remiss too if we didn't thank the many people who contributed to this. We mentioned our partners, Cabrillo College, United Way of Santa Cruz County, and the elections department and clerk's office. But we had also more than 35 volunteers, including 2 of our trustees. Thank you both for being there. And more than 12 other elected officials, along with our student trustee, Ashley Moore, as he mentioned in his update. And of course, our planning team here at the COE, Andres, myself, and our superintendent, Dr. Sabah, who, among his strategic leadership, I just want to point out, ended up driving students back to campus when one of their buses canceled. So they got a ride from the county superintendent, which I'm sure was another great.
I don't know how much they appreciated it, but it was fun for me.
Depends what kind of music you were playing.
But we appreciated it. So just thank you. And I also just want to close by saying thank you to Andres Ortiz, again, our lead planner on our staff, who has really been working this since the summer on all the outreach and the details around managing an event of this size. So great job, and thank you, Andres. And of course, happy to take any questions.
Yeah, I'll leave it up to the trustees that weren't able to make it and ask questions, and then we can hear from us. Ross?
I am really pleased that this is happening. I can remember back in the dark ages when it was sponsored by a political party. And it was even back before the split that we see today, it was difficult to get the students. So I'm really proud of taking this on. Having more love.
This looks just fantastic, and I would have loved it when I was in high school. I'm hoping I can go next year, so I look forward to a great presentation. Thank you for bringing this back.
It was as good of an event as they made it seem. The energy was great. I only got to attend 2 of the breakouts, but they were both well done and hands-on, and just the students were engaged, and it was great. Just looking ahead to next year, love that you did the survey. You're getting the feedback from the students. Are any students going to be involved in the planning of the next one?
That's a great question. We have, of course, consulted with students as part of the planning as we do, including our student trustees. We didn't have them involved in the planning team. There are some scheduling complications to that, but I think it's always something we're interested in and open to. So we'll take a look at that.
Equally, thank you for the presentation. It kind of brings it. I mean, the one thing I didn't know was what the goals were, and it sounds like you guys accomplished them all. I did 10 back, I think in 2017, 2018 as a volunteer, handing out books, free books. So I was really excited to see it come back. And I think it was a success in the sense that the students were really involved, really engaged. And I had the benefit of being able to just kind of go from, each of the events and each of the sessions. And I thought it was particularly interesting during one of the voting sessions that I went into, that you had a group of students before they were voting, they were all discussing it. And you could hear no, I don't think it means this. And, and they were discussing, and I thought, this is amazing. It's getting the conversation going. Everybody gets their opinion heard, and then they make their own decision. So I think on so many levels, it accomplished everything that it sounds like you wanted to accomplish. So congratulations. And we can't wait for next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Great work.
See here. Okay, so we are going on to item 10.6, the Santa Cruz County Office of Education, the second interim financial report. And We'll hear from Michael Olbert.
Excuse me, President Williams, I just wanted to share with the board, I have uploaded the Civic Summit presentation to eScribe, as well as the presentation you'll be hearing next. So if you want to follow
Oh,
along in
perfect.
eScribe, that's available.
All right, I'll introduce Becky, who's going to be starting, and I believe we'll have some other members who are helping out with the presentation as well, correct?
They can do a song and dance if you'd like.
Oh, okay, I guess not. All right, all right.
Do you take requests? Any requests?
So our second interim is, as you know, an important milestone when it comes to our budgeting process, and it's that milestone that really looks at the budget through January 31st and gives us kind of a progress update as to how well what we're doing. We update our the numbers of our revenue and expenditures and really get a clearer picture of how the year is coming along. And it also provides updates for kind of our 3-year window, our multi-year kind of projected budgets for the future. So we're ready to share that information with you today.
Yes, thank you again, Dr. Sabah, President Williams, members of the board. We're going to talk about the 25-26 second interim. First, before we get started, I want to just give a big thank you to our internal department who has taken so much time and effort to put all the numbers together. So internal business, it consists of Natia Ambrosi, Tara Lee, Shay Placencia, Brooke Rosso, Michelle Kennedy, and the lovely Coral, and Melissa Lopez in the lovely floral dress over there. All this long
Welcome.
and hard work. They are just giddy with excitement that we are finally done. So the budget process, I want to go through a few topics for today's meeting. It's going to be the budget process, the overview of the second interim report, key differences that existed between this report and the first interim, multi-year projections, which is how we're looking in 26, 27, and 27, 28, what's next, and what the recommendations are. I think we skipped. I am lying to you. I got stuck. So apologies. So the budget cycle. So just to start off, so you're aware of how the budget goes, we are adopting the budget in July, which we've already done. We go through our first interim, which is actuals through December. This is what we call our second interim. So this is actuals through January 31st. So we are going to be looking at how we are expecting to spend the rest of the year based on the information that we have available. Slide, please. The various certifications available is positive, qualified, or negative. Positive means that you will be able to meet your financial obligations in the current +2 fiscal years. Qualified is a may be able to meet your financial obligations in the current +2 fiscal years. And a negative is a.
So I apologize. So Trustee Larson shared that I didn't reset the slide, so there was an extra slide there. I assume, I don't know if you want to go back to it or just move forward.
No, that's okay. I think it. So the, apologies, the negative certification may not be able to meet, or sorry, will not be able to meet your financial obligations in current +1. So they're only looking at the current year. It's the third year out, it's always going to be a qualified. We just don't have a lot of visibility into that far out. Next slide is, I keep looking at that TV that keeps going green. I apologize. So we do have a positive certification. We are happy to say that we have every confidence that we will be able to meet our financial obligation in the current +2. And this is including reserve for economic uncertainty in all 3 years. And the board has approved a resolution to actually set our reserves at 5%. The state has a required 3%. We have agreed to go a little bit above that because, as you know, 3% is roughly 2 weeks of expenditure. Not very much money. So normally what you're looking at with reserve for economic uncertainty, it's about cash flow. A little bit extra on hand in order to be able to meet your financial obligations. So you have a 5% reserve. And then, of course, we have a positive ending cash balance and all. So the summary of the updates that we have, I'm going to be going through a lot of these in a little bit detail on some of the future slides, but just to give you the high-level overview, we updated our interest earnings. We updated the school-based Medi-Cal administrative activities. This is a pass-through account. We are what's called a LEC, the Local Education System, which means we get money in for this program and we distribute it to all of the members around not only our county, but surrounding counties that are part of our LEC. So this is not money that we actually get to keep, sadly enough, but you will see changes in our budget because we're still recognizing the revenue and expense. Special education, we had some prior year adjustments, so there were some changes there. The student support and professional development block grant, or what we have affectionately been calling the SPUD bug. We had some money come in for that for the 25-26 fiscal year. The community schools and partnership program have a bridge grant, which is from the Sacramento Department of Education. This is also serving as kind of a through. Money comes to us and we are sharing it through MOUs. And then we have increased participation in our new teacher program, as well as the outdoor science school, which caused a little bit of revenue change at this point. Next slide, please. Just to do the high level overview, we're going to start with the combined general fund for Fund 1. And if you want to follow along on the SACS report, and the Form 01, I believe it's on page 45 of your but we're mostly comparing it between first interim and second interim. So starting at the top of column 2, which is D in the SACS report, is your second interim. These are the revenues that we're projected to come in at $78.219 million. The total expenditures and transfers out, and that means transfers to other funds, is $81,879 million, which would result in a deficit spending of $3,659,000. Then we have a beginning fund balance of $48,746,000. And after the deficit spending, it will leave us with $45,886,000. So I say all of that as to give you a kind of a starting point as you're comparing it to first interim. So at first interim, we had slightly lower revenues. So we have increased our revenues by $538,000. And we have managed to decrease our expenditures overall by $872,000. So this net effect created a change in the deficit spending of $1.4 million. So we are projecting to deficit spend a little bit less than we had been at first. So that will create an increase in ending. Some of it is in restricted, $74,000, and then going to go on just the unrestricted side of the budget. So that one was everything. This is just the unrestricted side. So again, starting the second column, which is the second interim, we are looking at total revenues and transfers in of $35,400,000. Total expenditures and transfers out of $38,353,000. So a deficit or projected deficit at this point of $2.9 million. With the beginning fund balance of $30,093,835, this will result in a projected ending fund balance of $27,190,370. I keep using the words estimated and projected because we are still not quite through the entire year. So the difference, if you go to the far right column, the revenues are projected to increase $1.1 million as compared to first interim. And a lot of this is coming down to, as I mentioned, the school-based Medi-Cal. That money was going in there as well as the interest expense. And then we had a slight reduction in the need for contributions to the so it results in a slightly higher. And then we did total expenditures and transfers out, which was a decrease in spending of $209,000. That resulted, the combination of the two of those resulted in an increase to ending fund balance of $1. So this is the restricted side of the budget. So the restricted side of the budget changed just ever so slightly from first interim. So first interim, we were projecting 43,359,000. We are now projecting 42,770,000. The total expenses and transfers out for second interim in the middle column there is projected at 43,526,000, which would result in a deficit of 756,000. This is slightly down from first interim, which was projected at 830,000, giving us a net change to our ending fund balance of 74,300. So some of the items that go into this budget. So we are looking at the assumptions for not only the current year, but for the 2 out years. So those out years, we have to look at what we have done with negotiations. So as you heard, we have just opened negotiations 27, which means none of those numbers are currently in our budget. Right now we have that we have set. And then we have step and column in there. So right now, certificated step and column is estimated at 1.3% and classified as 1%. These are the projections that we are using to budget. STRS is in there at 19.1%. FERS rates change each year, and they're estimated at 26.81, 26.4, and 26.9%. Health and welfare estimates. Right now, we are looking at a 7% increase. Those are in the budget. And then we have also adjusted for any one-time dollars. We have some grants that are expiring the out years. They're removing. And then the COLA that we have decided to use, as you are all aware, the state issues the COLA, changes throughout. Some of their projections go out many years, and it's a little bit volatile. So we decided to be a little conservative and use a 1% COLA for each. Go on to the next slide. You'll see some of the rationale for that. So this is what the COLA kind of looks like through the course of its lifetime, so to speak. So if you go up to 25, 26, the middle column there, starting at the top, way back in 23, 24, the January proposed budget had assumed that the COLA for 25, 26 would be 3.31. And then each time that the state releases a new iteration of the budget, they adjust it accordingly, and it can go down, it can go up based on the information. So the COLA actually consists of about 6 different pieces of information that takes until April of the current year in order to actually gather and finalize those numbers. So that's why some of these numbers are a little bit more volatile throughout the life cycle. So in 25, 26, although we had started with a 3.31, we actually ended up enacting the budget at 2.3. So that's why we decided to be a little conservative and just kind of. Moving on to the next slide, the other assumptions we're using is what we call our funded ADA. As you know, we have the ADA is either going to be based on current year, prior year, or 3 prior year average. That was changed back in 23, 24 for county offices of education. Districts actually were able to use that bit of a buffer back in 22, 23. And that created just a slight softening of the decline that they were seeing. Give them a little bit longer to adjust. Well, gives us a little bit more time to react. Starting at the top, you can see alternative education. We closed last year with 906 students. We are currently at 896 students for the year. We are projected to decline 866 for 26.7. And then 850. Special education is projected to remain flat for all of the years. And these are the district students that are attending our special education. And then career advancement charter. Right now we are looking at relatively flat from between 24, 25 through 26, 27, and then projecting to increase. Then countywide, as you know, countywide, a lot of the districts are declining in enrollment. While some of them may be declining a little faster than others, again, with the 3 different options, how ADA is being calculated, it does give them a little bit more time to adjust. So the estimates that we have right now are the 3 prior year average or whatever is the most effective for each of the districts. we do have a few districts that are actually increasing. At this point in time, we are projecting about a 200 to 300 ADA decline. Next slide, please. So this is the 3-year unrestricted projection, second interim. So we've already looked at 25, 26 for all of this, and this is how we are proposing 26, 27, and 27. So you can see starting at the top, we will be having a $20 million beginning fund balance. That is how we are expecting 25, 26 to end. So looking at the revenues, we have a slight decline in revenue in 26, 27. That is due to the expected slight decline in enrollment for LCFF. Program. And then the expenditures and transfers out, slight decline based on some one-time expenditures that we have removed from the budget. We have a deficit projected at 2.9 million, which would leave us with an ending fund balance in the unrestricted 279. 27, 28, we are expecting revenues to remain relatively flat at 33.8 million. Expenditures are projected to also remain relatively flat at 36.6 with a projected deficit of 2.8, leaving an ending fund balance of 21,396,000 estimated for 20. The restricted side of the budget, this one you'll see a little bit bigger swings because we have a lot of one-time programs. 27 and 27. So we have already talked about the first column, which is the 25-26 budget. The 26-27 budget, like as I mentioned, the revenues have declined to 36,408,000. That is due to grants. So we have some health grants, grants, some wellness grants, and then the expenses are also kind of declining, but not quite declining. Carryover that we're spending out, why you can see the deficit spending. We also have in there that we're projecting to purchase the property at 119 Beach Street. That is still projected in 26, 27. Then in 27, 28, we have total revenues, which are relatively flat, a slight decline because we are projecting another program to be ending. Project Ascent is projected to end in that year. The expenditures are projected at 37,000,000, slight decline. Programs ending, we have removed those, with resulting in a deficit of 3,200,000 and an ending fund balance of 7,800,000. So the next slide, please, is both of these. Slide is the special reserves for special reserves for other than capital outlay, which is our fund 17. As I mentioned earlier, the board has a resolution that sets this at 5%. This is where we actually right now for 25-26, we have 3.7 million in there. We are projecting 26-27 to go up slightly to 3.8 million and 27-28 to be at 3. These numbers will be screwed up at the end of the year when we close the books to ensure there's a 5% reserve. Fire in there. So I want to go over the criterion standards. So as you are aware, we fill out the criterion standards that basically judges our financial report against certain levels of, yes, of course. I apologize. That was an old slide that wasn't updated. That was for a different presentation. Yeah.
So there are slides that were shared with you that were actually skipped, that's why they're not appearing, but that's by that was done
Confusion.
Those are
intentionally.
apologies. Yes.
That's okay. Would there be a time where this particular slide would be updated with the current information, diving into unrestricted or any of the deficits?
Yeah, absolutely. We can certainly do that at adopted budget if you want to see.
Perfect.
Criteria and standards. So as we're going through the criteria and standards, as I mentioned, we fill out all of information, and the state has its own levels of what they call dashboard checking to see if we are within certain ranges. And if our deficit spending, if our revenues, everything adequate coverage. It on form CI, which is the certificate of interim, named to basically say, have you met or not met each of these dashboard indicators? We like to highlight which ones that we have not met, just to kind of tell you exactly what is going on with these. A lot of times the not met does not mean anything other than either add data that we didn't have before, could be something a slight change. So just to start at the top to kind of tell you where we are with this dashboard data, the very first one that we had as a not met was the ADA for current or subsequent year changed by more than 2%. So at first interim, there was a typo, for lack of a better word. We accidentally entered information into the wrong cell, which made our ADA look like it was declining at second. It was just a clerical error. So our ADA has not changed since first. The second one is number 6, which is the deficit spending. Unrestricted deficit spending exceeds the standard in any of the current. So we have, the state has its own metric for how much we should be able to be deficit spending. We are slightly ahead of that. So we are still very aware of our deficit spending, making sure that we are doing. The next one, the S5, is contributions changing by more than 20,000 and by more than 5% in the current or 2 subsequent years. So actually, in this particular case, we reduced our deficit spending over what it was at first interim. That particular case, it is showing up as a not met, because even though it was a reduction, it is. Peter still wants me to shut down. So we will just speed through the rest of these. So yeah, so even though it was a reduction, it is still giving us the not met category. County offices, so 7A, S7A, county office provides post-employment benefits. We provide an OPEB, other post-employment benefits. And then A3, the county operations grant ADA is decreasing in both prior and current fiscal year. That is also true, as we have said, that there is a lot of decline in enrollment throughout Santa Cruz County. We are still, I believe, in the top 5 statewide. And then A5 is the salary increase exceeds the state-funded cost of living adjustment, or the COLA. And that is because the COLA for the state came in at 2.3% and we had a 5%. And then, of course, the change in CBO superintendent, and that was because she's off enjoying her retirement in Hawaii. So the next slide, what is next? The governor's proposed budget is going to come out for 26. It was released in January, but the May revise actually is coming out usually about the middle of May, about May 14th, 15th. And we will begin at that time to understand what the further impacts of the changes 7 will be. There's still a lot of negotiation going on at the state level. And then we're going to continue to ongoingly monitor the revenues and expenditures, as well as any other information that we can build the budget.
You remind me on the formula for the house. Work with the 8. We get to choose each year which of those.
It is the greater of.
Oh, I see.
It's always the greater of. So the calculation actually does it for you. Current year, your prior year, or 3 times your coverage. Best. Yeah, so it's always the highest calculation. No, that was just a newly enacted. Before it used to be current year and prior year. And then based on the pandemic, a lot of people were struggling. So then the legislation was passed. So far, unless the legislature changes.
So just to, one of the benefits of that is that it slows down the declines, but if you do have, as your numbers go down, your average and your highest will also go down. So it slows it down, but it's still, it doesn't prevent the losses as a result of declining enrollment.
Thank you for the budget committee meeting. I think that was 2 days ago. So that was great. Thank you. Wonderful presentation, very clear, it was easy to follow. Just thank you for that. A couple of things early on in the presentation. The LEC from out of the county, or where we're the LEC for out of the county, is that both Monterey and Santa Clara, or one of the other?
Exactly. It's Santa Cruz, Monterey, Santa Clara. It's honestly don't know what the whole parameter is, but a lot of the districts can choose to join. They have to be part of a LEC. They can choose to join the LEC of their area in order to receive this school-based Medi-Cal administrative activity. Yes, it is a very wide area. I believe it's region 5.
Oh, so it's, okay, it's larger. And then the outdoor science, increased participation. Was just, is that for this coming year or for this
The
year?
current year, yes. It was just a little increase. I believe it was about $50,000. So
Okay.
a few more schools that were able to.
But we are anticipating increases for next year because the Santa Clara COE has renovating their facilities. And so we're looking at if we would have the capacity to absorb some of those students.
And I heard that California and Oregon are the only 2 states that have this kind of. I don't know if that's true or just a rumor from my Oregon daughter.
I'm not sure about other states, yeah.
Yeah.
And I forgot to mention, the presentation was great. The only thing was the expectation that you were all done at the start of it when it's a continuous cycle. So you get maybe 1 day break. Then you're right back at it.
Melissa has
We'll go
often
back to,
lamented the
we'll
fact
go
that-
back to this slide here. the budget slide.
Yes.
Never ending cycle.
It's never ending, and it's very possible you're currently living in 2 to 3 years at a time.
And then, some future discussion items when it's an innovative program like Ascend, and we are knowing it's grant funding, and we're looking at a sunset of that grant funding. What's the appropriate transition and manage with that? I know you're probably thinking about it already.
Yes, so that is a 5-year grant, and it does have the option to renew the Ascend program. And so we're hopeful that with the successes that we're having, that we'll be able to renew it. But those restricted programs that Becky presented on the restricted side, many of those funds are in fact expiring, and those big reductions are as a result of them sunsetting. And so when we hire people with those grant fundings, we'd let them know that their hiring can be contingent on availability of funding, but we've done a pretty good job, and we have a pretty good track record of bringing in funding. In fact, over the last 5 years or so, our funding has increased significantly as a result of many of our efforts to bring in additional grant funding to provide more services. So we're hopeful that we'll be able to continue to do that.
And then on kind of the flip side, saw for the career adult charter that enrollment goes up and projected in out year 2 from 200 to 235. That's positive enrollment. Is there a new program that we're seeing coming to fruition then, or just as you had great growth over the last year or 2 in that, and that continue? Future years?
Yeah, so if when you have time, go to our data portal. We actually have a section on engagement and shows the increases, and it is very impressive, the increases in enrollment. And we recognize that there's 30,000 people in Santa Cruz County who don't have a high school diploma, and so we anticipate that that's
Great, thank you, and thank you for the committee meeting too.
I could give a shout out to Becky and their amazing business services team, both Melissa and Michelle, who are here with us, and all the other folks. This is part of it is a cycle. So there's never a time when we say, it's really harder now than it's always. The work continues, but it's a very important work, and we're really grateful to the meticulous work that goes into preparing
ensuring that you're able to maintain your fiduciary responsibilities and oversight of the budget. So thank you so much to our team.
All right, thank you very much for that. We're going to go into our new business in action. And we have item 11.1, the 26-27 student program calendar. Dr. Sabah.
Yes. So part of our process is, of course, every year to bring the calendar for your review and approval. There are a few changes that in this calendar that are a little different than what you saw this year. So the first day of school for 26-27 would be on August 6th for our COE. There is a 1-week break in November. So for that Thanksgiving week, and a 3-week winter break, which is different than the 2-week break we had this year with the 1 week in February. We were trying to match one of our districts, and we feel like everybody agreed that the 3-week break in the winter would be a better solution for our families. So spring break is aligned with almost all the districts in the county. And we would, because of the earlier start in August, we would anticipate our graduations ending in the end of May. And you, of course, received a copy of this, and we were happy to take any questions.
Everybody taking?
It is a popular option, so I would say most, but I'd have to check to verify if everybody is doing it or not. It's become a more popular option over the years. Yeah.
All right.
You need a motion?
Yes, we need a motion, please.
Option of the 627 COE and student.
A second.
Second. Voice vote. So all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Went on long. 11.2. All right. So we have resolution 112611 recognizing April as National Bilingual Multilingual Learner. This was brought forth by our team. I always get that part wrong. And so this particular board resolution recognizes April 2026 as National Bilingual Multilingual Advocacy Month, highlighting the value of multilingual learners, stating that 40% of the Santa Cruz County students, TK through 12 students, promoting educational equity. The resolution also commends the Santa Cruz County Family Engagement Collaborative for supporting all of these students. Let's see here, we have highlights diversity students speaking 50 plus languages, most common Spanish, Mixteco, Mandarin, and Arabic. Affirms strengths of multilingual learners as assets to our community and future global citizens. Emphasizes equity and access to ensure academic success and biliteracy, multiliteracy development. Also showcasing the COE efforts of professional development and educators, ELAC Toolkit, and family engagement resources, and events like the World Language Showcase. And I think I had like a comment on this one, so I'm just gonna look really quickly. And I know that sometimes we recognize in some of our resolutions, some of our youth led programs. And so I think at least in the bullet points, we're recognizing the multilingual youth taking action and annual showcase, as well as our seal of biliteracy. So I wonder if we should note that also in the resolution.
I believe it does.
Yeah.
I believe that, can we check to verify that? Because I think that's why the
Yes.
bullets are here. That means that the resolution in fact.
It is showing the.
All of what is reflected in the bullets is in
Okay.
the resolution.
All
I
right.
don't believe, so the multilingual youth taking action has been, is kind of in a transition year as,
Okay.
a different student group. So I don't know if they're specifically named because of the recent name change, but the World Languages Showcase that they host
Okay,
is.
all right, perfect. Okay. All right, if there's no questions, comments? Got a motion? Kyle? We are doing a roll call vote.
Trustee Kyle?
Aye.
Vice President Larson?
Aye.
Trustee Roth?
Yes.
Trustee Sanchez? Trustee Van Allen? President Williams?
Yes. This is unanimously, thank you. Our next resolution, 2612, in recognition of National Child Abuse Prevention Month. And we will be recognizing child abuse and neglect as a critical community issue requiring collective action. Highlights the role of cross-sector partnerships in education, health, community organizations, law enforcement, and families. Also firm commitment to the prevention through education and awareness and supportive environments. And we also want to acknowledge that the Santa Cruz County Office of Education mandated reporting training, established reporting procedures, and collaboration with the County Family and Children's Services. Are there any questions?
I just had a comment, which I support the resolution, obviously, that been so painful how much you see in the news about people, and it's primarily men, using children, whether it's violence or abuse or sexual attacks. So all the more reason that we should be speaking out about this and making sure that we are doing everything. Safety, for awareness, education, self-defense. I mean, it's a whole bunch of things, and some of it is tricky because it's, you know, it means reaching right into families, right into work situations. But I think we just have to, this is extremely serious and it's damaging people. Has been for centuries, whatever, but we shouldn't be continuing it. So there's been so much news just lately, such as this, that I'm in pain and anger tonight.
I agree. I'll just say +1 on that. And I'm really appreciative that the COE continues to provide education and identification training for teachers and staff, because I think that a lot of times that's where, you know, students are met, you know, and identified. And so I really appreciate that aspect. Second. Trustee Roth. And we'll do a roll call.
Trustee Kyle?
Aye.
Vice President Larson?
Aye.
Trustee Roth?
Yes.
Trustee Sanchez?
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen? President Williams?
Yes. Moving on to item 11.4, Resolution 2613, recognizing April as National Arab American Heritage Month. Whereas we're recognizing the significant contributions of Arab Americans across the sectors, including in education, in business, government, arts, and technology. We celebrate the rich cultural traditions, values, and diversity that strengthens our communities, and acknowledge ongoing challenges, including the misconceptions and discrimination of anti-Arab hate, civil rights concerns, stereotyping, and bullying, emerging concerns tied to recent federal policies and immigration impacts, and emphasize the importance of education, awareness, and inclusion to combat bias and promote equity. And we affirm a shared vision of safe, inclusive, diverse society for all. Are there any comments? Discussion? Yes.
In the committee meeting, I proposed an amendment to the second whereas, which is highlighted in yellow here, so that's in.
If it is not in the handout, then you need to make a motion to.
Wasn't it?
Yes, Trustee Van Allen, the comments that you've made have been reflected on the resolution. They should be highlighted.
So
I believe that's the wording you wanted, correct?
Since migrating tonight to the.
see
Yes.
here.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so that's what I wanted.
Yes, okay. Then it is reflected on the resolution.
Just, the original phrase just was. Or
Yes, it currently reads, since migrating to the United States, Americans of Arab descent. Is that what you were looking for? Yep,
want to make sure it was in.
it is. Trustee Larson and roll call.
Trustee Kyle?
Aye.
Vice President Larson?
Aye.
Trustee Roth?
Yes.
Trustee Sanchez?
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen? President Williams?
Yes. Passes unanimous. Thank you. Our next item 11.5, Resolution 2614, recognizing Earth Day as and Environmental Education Week. Whereas recognizing Earth Day as April 22nd, 2026, and Environmental Education Week, the week of April 19th, we're highlighting the importance of the environmental education, sustainability, and student engagement. We showcase COE's efforts, including green classroom initiatives and a county-wide student participation, green classroom celebration at STEM Expo, and the Youth for Environmental Action Summit led by students. We affirm that the need to address climate change, pollution, and environmental inequities especially impacts and underserved communities. Notes emerging concerns due to recent federal policies, funding, and staffing changes, and encouraging sustainable school practices that support both environmental impact and cost savings. We also recognize youth leadership in advocating for advancing environmental stewardship. We have any comments, questions, discussion?
Carmel.
All right. So comments and discussion. Can I get a motion? And a second? And Trustee Sanchez. We will have a roll call.
Trustee Kyle?
Aye.
Vice President Larson?
Aye.
Trustee Roth?
Yes.
Trustee Sanchez?
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen? President Williams?
Yes. All right, passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And we're going to item 11.6, and I'm going to pass this over at this time to Trustee Van Allen.
Thank you, trustees. We have a set of policies, or actually board bylaws tonight that all revolve around our meetings, notices, how the public's involved, how we conduct ourselves. And two of these are being updated. They were bylaws we already had, and they're being updated in light of changes in the ed code and so on. And then we discovered references in one of them to some of the others. And when we looked at them, it made sense to us to recommend those as well. And so we're sort of presenting it as a package. The board has the option to either adopt only for first reading and bring them back next meeting, or to waive the second reading. That is what I recommend, that we adopt them, waiving the second reading, unless anyone has questions or things that we actually. The topics that are discussed, that are excuse me, covered, I think they're fairly clear to everyone as to what they're about. One of the big changes was in the one about remote meetings, and spelling out in a lot more detail about how that. There is also not sure if it was changes in the law, but changes certainly in the way we organize our policies. Closed meetings, in particular, we are now requiring forms for closed sessions that spell out more clearly, and they're in the packet, what the reason for the closed session is and how they work and who made it. Yeah, and this was partly for the sake of the public and also for clarity with our own. If you want, I can go into each one, sort of hoping everyone had a chance. Basically, how we as a board. Take up too much time.
clarification, just to make sure. I had no quibbles with any of the concepts and the reason why. I just wanted to clarify in the cover memo, the two that are stated as not adopted, those are kind of the new ones. Those affected the other ones that have the yellow highlights.
It was that the one that we were going to be changing referenced other board policies that we didn't have, and we went and took the CSBA and adopted it.
So like board committees says not adopted, and there was nothing highlighted in that one. So was that a brand new policy?
Basically,
statement?
we didn't have a bylaw.
That's, okay.
That's
That's just what I'm clarifying.
Yeah,
So
that's what not adopted.
those two are new, and they impacted the other ones that have highlighted changes.
Actually four, but yeah. Bernice, did you want to add something?
I was just gonna share the same thing. Those three, it's three, bylaw 9130, 9320.1, and 9321 closed session, complete CSBA sample adoption. So there are no highlights, but we do not have them.
Perfect.
Are there any other comments or questions regarding any of these? I would make a motion to, oh, you made the motion to present them as a first and second reading. Is that correct?
Yes, that'd be my motion.
I'll second it. And can we get a roll call vote?
Trustee Kyle? Aye. Vice President Larson?
Aye.
Trustee Roth?
Yes.
Trustee Sanchez?
Yes.
Trustee Van Allen?
Aye.
President Williams?
Yes. Thank you. Passes unanimously. Thank you for all of your help for that. Denise, I did a lot of work on that for us. We're going to go into item 12 of the superintendent's report.
Yes, thank you so much, President Williams and members of the board. I just wanted to give you some updates about some important news related to our schools and also some updates about our programs. There was an important decision in March 2nd, known as the Mirabelli v. Bonta decision. This follows another Supreme Court decision, Mahmoud v. Taylor, that have impacts on the rights of parents as it relates to their ability to be able to direct and guide the rights and services for LGBTQIA plus students in our schools. And so I wanted to share this with you because we are working on guidance because there are these decisions which are complicated because it's layered with multiple layers of courts and stays, but they do provide us some direction as to how California law is going to be influenced when it comes to student privacy and student rights, the voice and power of parents in guiding the schools and providing those services. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. We're working on some guidance that we're going to be sharing that we're getting from a variety of different sources, including the California Department of Education, to be able to implement and ensure that we are fully compliant with the California law as well as these decisions by the Supreme Court. I want to share with you that I attended the groundbreaking of the new housing facility, the first in Santa Cruz County, which is Santa Cruz City Schools. They passed a bond to be able to build about 100 units, which will be utilized to rent out at 60 to 70%, I believe, of market rate for educators in the county. Now, they shared that 95% of the employment kind of refusals when you offer a job to somebody is as a result of housing situations. Many times people from outside of the area accept the job and then come back and say, we can't actually afford to live here. And so their hope is that this is the beginning of a measure to be able to create opportunities for folks who have livable facilities that will allow them to stay in the Santa Cruz City Schools. We're also excited that the Pajaro Valley Unified School District is looking at some housing for educators. Ways off, but one of the things that they're looking at. I did want to also share with you a survey that has been making the news, which is that 45% of California teachers sharing that they plan to retire in the next 10 years. As we think about, we have declining enrollment, which means we are going to be needing less teachers.
But in many cases, those teachers are not evenly distributed. We have a big demand for special education teachers, bilingual teachers, math teachers, art teachers. And so we are concerned what this means. We're the number one state in the union when it comes to the numbers of a percentage of teachers who are planning to retire. And it emphasizes the importance of the work that we have been putting in place, our different programs to create opportunities for people to complete their bachelor's degree, for people who have completed their bachelor's degree to get funding to be able to get into a teaching credential program, for those to get teacher residency opportunities, to be able to create that pipeline. And last year, we also launched our first educators for high school students too. And so we are going to be expanding that program this year. So we're doing our small part to try to address this, but we recognize that this is a big challenge that's going to have long-term impacts on the educational system. I did want to share the good news as well. The Bransford 40 Middle School and SoCal High School are being recognized as the 2026 California Distinguished Schools by the California Department of Education, and very excited for Santa Cruz City Schools. And also to let you know that the deadline for you to nominate somebody, whether it's a classified staff member, a counselor, a teacher, an administrator, or an organization is by March 20th. And so it's tomorrow. So we encourage you to consider doing that before the deadline, and because we're excited to celebrate with these folks, and it's one of the highlights of this board meeting in May when we celebrate with them.
Before you move on to
Yes.
the next item, going back to the Santa Cruz housing, can you talk a little bit about what, if any, the COE was involved in any of that?
I would say that our support has been, this really was a bond measure. I was one of the signatories and supported, of course, the bond measure. This was really as a result of community support to get the funding, measures K and L, which were what brought the funding to Santa Cruz City Schools. And so I don't think we can take credit for any of it, but absolutely been supporting this and encouraging districts to look at utilizing bond measures for this. It's impossible for districts to be able to fund these kinds of projects out of their LCFF, local control funding formula funds. It has to come from community support. And so I think this is one of those creative ways that school districts are, and now that we have a model, I think, Chris Monroe, the superintendent, is talking to other school districts to help them understand the complexities of navigating the system of building. You still have to work with the Department of State Architects. Most of the districts do have property. We don't have property to a large degree. Some of the districts have large amounts of property. And so as declining enrollment continues, the spaces on those properties are and that's an important savings as part of this process. So I think our role has been to be cheerleaders and to be a support and to encourage the passage of these bonds, as well as to facilitate the kind of helping to kind of the wisdom and the learning that has come out of these processes to be able to encourage other districts to do the same.
An opportunity as us as individuals and as a board to support these type of bond measures.
Absolutely.
For our teachers and students.
Absolutely. Yes, and I think that this idea that as our federal government steps back from supporting our communities, that the need for local community involvement and engagement is more important than ever. Our schools are more important than ever. Just a little tidbit of some program updates. I wanted to share with you that we are partnering with Cabrillo College to launch a certified nursing assistant program in the fall. So we're really excited about this, and this would be completely free to the students who are able to do this. It'll be a short-term project that will not give folks a livable wage right off the bat, but it will help people to get into the nursing program. It gives you more points in the lottery system that Cabrillo College has to get into, which is a very impacted program. So we're very excited about that, and more information to follow on that. Rishi Lal has been working with all our schools as our Director of School Safety. The Standard Command Response, this is where we call for a lockdown, or we talk about evacuation, or, it's the system of safety and how we respond to emergency situations. We're excited to share that all school districts and even our schools in Monterey County, so like Hall District and Pajaro and Ohlone schools, are all now utilizing this one unified system. So all law enforcement agencies in Santa Cruz County, every school district in the county, and every school, including the ones in Monterey County, because we worked with law enforcement on the Monterey County side as well to align all our systems. So we're excited about our progress in having a unified safety system. I want to share with you that next week is AI Literacy Week, and we feel it's important for our schools, our educators, to learn about AI, the challenges and concerns, as well as developing the skills necessary to utilize the benefits of it in an educational setting. And so there's lots of opportunities next week for educators to participate with our technology and innovation team to learn about AI tools and what it looks like in the educational setting. We're also excited about a collaboration between our family engagement team and our Ed Services team. They developed resources for schools to implement ELAC tools and ELAC is the English Learner Advisory Council, which was something that I had to do when I was at Aptos High School as a teacher. These are monthly meetings for parents of multilingual learners or English language learners. And these are required meetings. And it was always a challenge as a teacher to know what to do and how to engage families. And so our Denise Pittman Rosas and Barbara Hubner developed a collection of resources to make it extremely easy to have very engaging, very family voice-centric presentations. They went to CABE, which is the conference, California Bilingual Education Conference, and it was a huge hit. And so we'd love to share those resources. We're really excited about this being a model for how we can make work easier and by delivering high quality resources to our education community. And so this is something we're really excited about. Also, I wanted to share with you our alternative education. Our students from Cyprus went to a field trip to the MoMA in San Francisco, and we continue to create lots of engaging, exciting opportunities for students. We believe that learning doesn't just happen in the classroom, and that we want to ensure that we're creating as many opportunities for students in a variety of different learning contexts. Lots of exciting events. This is a very busy time for us, not only in the Business Services Office, but also in our other departments. So our STEAM Expo, we are really thinking it's evolving into this very exciting family event that is going to be with lots of opportunities to have fun and play and learn. And also there's a the science fair, as well as invention convention and a variety of other components. So that's on March 28th. We have our annual celebration this year on April 2nd, which is where we'll be celebrating our school community. This is the big party, if you will, celebrating our students, celebrating our community, talking about our programs. We have Erica Padilla Chavez. We also have Vicente and Ash, who will be presenting as our student trustees, and also Mick Brooker from Pajaro Valley High School will be there as our speakers, and it'll be at Sequoia High School. So we would love it for you to be there and to be honored and recognized for the important role you play in supporting us. Our World Languages Showcase is April 14th at Harbor High. Our Youth for Environmental Action Summit on April 20th, and Fashion Teens on April 24th. And that's just 1 month worth of exciting activities to share with you. We'd love it for you to be a part of that. And I think that is it for my updates, and I'll entertain any questions that you may have.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go into our trustee reports, where we each give an update of our activities for the month. I started that way last time. I'll go this way this time. All right, so busy month for March for me. Mock trial finals. I continue to be ever impressed with our students who are so professional. I cannot believe the things that they can memorize and just present, just beyond impressed. The Civic Summit, we all heard of the presentation. It was exciting and I was happy to be there. Also attended the Santa Cruz City Schools Parent Leaders Meeting. It's basically them covering the LCAP with their parents. That was very great information. Unfortunately, it overlapped with the CSBA budget meeting, so I'll have to put that up a little bit later. We had the Agenda and Policy Committee meetings, LCAP training offered by Placer County Office of Education. That was great informational, and I believe Trustee Larson also attended. And a couple of events, Her Story, that was co-sponsored by the COE, always a great event honoring women who are doing amazing things in our community. Monarch Service Gala and a participant at the CSBA Legislative Week. I missed the first with Senator Laird, but was able to log in for Assembly Member Don Addis, and the wonderful, all-informative training with Denise for eScribe. I love the new system. Thank you so much. And that's my report for this month.
Certainly the highlight was the eScribe training. So,
Wow.
so thank you. Look forward to using that for everything and turning in my COE iPad and just using my laptop, and it'll be great. So I'm going to kind of split this and start future even and go back. So I'm on the ACE Planning Committee. I mentioned it. We just spent 2 days this week up at our only in-person meeting planning the fall session. There's 15 members. I'm one of 2 county board members helping to plan the conference, which is going to be early December down in San Diego. I promise you it will be great. We did work through the strands. We're still refining the language, but there's 6 strands. There is going to be a real focus on trying to make sure as many of the strands are open and of interest to county board members, as well as student trustees, as well as executive assistants, and just trying to reflect all of that. I learned that they didn't tell us till after they'd fed us lunch that the real work comes from having to review all the session proposals that come in. But the one perk we get is we get to just encourage people we know to submit proposals. So any proposals that come from any board members or the Santa Cruz County COE or even school districts in this county, I won't be evaluating, just to keep it clean. But I do want to encourage all of our districts to submit proposals, and the opening date for that will be next week on the 30th, so, or a week and a half. On March 30th is the opening date for that. Let's see. The week before, I attended the CSBA Spring County Conference, which it was titled Governance. It wasn't so much on governance. It was more on foster youth this time. Foster and homeless youth was most of the sessions and speakers, which was fascinating. And I shared some materials with the superintendent. And then there's a series of breakouts on transfer appeals, disciplinary appeals, getting one of the gold awards that we got a couple of years ago. Yeah, the Golden Bell. Rules and legislative and budget advocacy. The day before, which was the real reason I went, is they've launched the first county masters in governments training for the first time in several years. And I know our president was also interested in it, but couldn't make it. They may be opening it up for a hybrid to catch up on the first session. So once we get the details on that, I'll circulate it through staff to the full board, if any of you are interested. It was very, very interesting. It's 4 all-day sessions. And I will tell you, they also announced, and we should be getting official notice within a week or two, that the bigger county governance training session will be September 24th and 25th in Marina Del Rey. So if you want to slot that on your calendars, that's what's coming up. So kind of 2 weeks busily involved with CSBA. I won't mention things that others have already mentioned. Universal Pre-K Community Forum, I attended as a volunteer actually, but it was a great program. And just seeing all that the COE does to support not only pre-K and kindergarten, transitional kindergarten, but pre-K as well, and reaching out to childcare service providers, and just the learning about how statewide TK is impacting pre-K, because they basically lost a quarter of their student population, basically, that are hopefully now in public schools, and great reasons for doing that. I'm not questioning that at all, but it was great just to see the enthusiasm in the room for what the COE brings forward to that community. Then going to right after our last meeting, that Saturday was a very busy Saturday. I attended the Latino Role Models Conference that morning just as an observer. Then that afternoon at the Resource Center for Nonviolence, there's the Year of the Fire Horse, honoring our local Chinese American legacy. And then that night, my family went to see Dreamgirls put on by the African American Theater Arts Program up at UCSC. So it was a pretty busy day. The next day, Sunday, I attended the Five Branches open house. While it's not in our jurisdiction at all, it's a pretty big educational services provider in the county. And I thought, since I'm now getting acupuncture for my knee, I might as well learn what it's about. So I went to that open house, and then Coastal Watershed Council also hosted a fire horse celebration at 418 project for other local Japanese or Chinese American leaders. Stop there, and I'll try to get back to written reports next month.
Thank you.
It's impressive. Mostly this month I got busy with other work, but did the policy committee and the resolutions committee. The policy committee is in gear now, so we'll be back.
I finally went.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just have to add, I have to appreciate Bernice for the ride.
Yes.
Good, and he's a master of it, and he's good.
I think the guy sitting
He wasn't in my training.
I heard there was some support there towards this coming forward. I finally saw the mask you live in. It was presented up in Scotts Valley, and I certainly hope that we do this every year. I talked about it for probably 2 weeks. Pretty incredible, and it was well attended. Be out there a bit more, maybe. The board budget committee meeting. Thank you. Thank you. eScribe, and I'm only having one problem. I can't find out how to annotate. Hours. No.
That's why I didn't have as many questions.
Yeah, well, anyway, I really appreciate that we are using it, and I think it's a very fine addition. I too saw Dreamgirls, and I thought that it was quite a production for UC Santa Cruz, because the number of Black students up there is not, there's not a huge amount. But the interesting thing that was reported was that UCSC was the first group in California, or in the university system, to have a Black performance art group. And I think that, and I just think, what? So, and then saw a crazy thing called Newsies with, I think, 100 kids up in Scotts Valley. It was a local production, but they used students from all over. It was really cute, but I think the director was crazy. I mean, but no, I mean, to undertake something, she had 2 complete casts of children because they performed over several weeks. So the time. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
I attended the annual Your Future is Our Business Luncheon, which was the same day as the Civic Summit. And I'd already RSVP'd, so I went to that one. I attended the Semitas Advisory Committee meeting where Dr. Spa was as well. I attended my first CSBA legislative action visit with Senator Laird this week. And then we had our budget committee meeting.
I attended, it's been a while since I've been to one, and I don't know why I don't attend them more often, but the COE all staff meetings, highly recommend it. I don't know, it's just a good environment to be in and to get updates, hear what's going on, being able to, I really enjoy like the breakout sessions that happen as well. Opportunities to get to know each other, opportunities to de-stress a little, disconnect. I just think they're all well done. So I know there's a lot of staff that goes, thought that goes into it. So thanks to everybody who puts that on, because it does feel like it helps me stay more connected, right? It's like I wish I knew more, I could be more involved, and those COE all staffs are convenient because it's virtual, one. And they happen pretty frequently as well. So I attended that one last week, and again, encourage everybody to attend if you can as well. For the ACCBE, they're starting to do in-person conferences. The next one is in Southern California, Riverside, April 10th, 11th, a little bit far. The one for Northern California is May 16th and 17th, and it's in Ukiah. It's a little far, but I am very happy that the people, they call it the true North, right? Like you would think of North California, Northern California, you think of like the Bay Area, but there's a lot more California that's up there, and smaller counties in terms of population, but still COE's up there. So I'm really glad that they are holding, in-person events up there for people who typically might think it's too far to travel to the Bay Area. So happy that that's happening. And then also, again, virtual, that's also very convenient. There's 2 that are coming up that I wanted to mention. April 23rd is Literacy in Action, and then April 28th, County Board Role in Building Whole Child Supports. So if you have time, again, they're both virtual. They're both at 7 p.m. I recommend or highly suggest that you guys sign up for it. And if you forget to sign up, or if you can't make those times, all of the virtual meetings where they do have certain topics like these are archived. So you can go to the ACCBE website after the fact and take a look at them at a time where it's most convenient for you. And that's my report.
Trustee Larson has one thing.
Following up on, and I promised last year I'd judge at STEAM, but it's also spring break for my 2 kids at college, so I'm going to miss STEAM this year, and it was a highlight for me last year. So I won't be able to do STEAM this year, but the other thing I will be able to do remotely, and it kind of follows on the superintendent's report about Supreme Court rulings. I've been invited to join the BAMEC board. For those of you who know BAMEC, and I'll be attending next week virtually for my first time as a board member. And for those who don't know, it's the leading LGBTQIA+ civil rights advocacy group for the broader Silicon Valley region. I'm excited to join that board.
for all of those reports. Thank you for sharing about attending, Trustee Sanchez, about attending the COE all-staff meeting. I didn't think it was a thing for me to join, so thank you. I will log in. Now I'm excited. I always see it on my calendar. It was like, that's for the staff. They don't want us there. So now I'm gonna join. All right. Are there any reports from our standing committees or ad hoc committees? Okay, well, we'll move on. So our scheduled meetings and upcoming events, our next board meeting is April 16th. And then on your packet and also on eScribe, you'll see all of the dates listed. And is there any last comments?
Well, I have kind of a vague one.
Okay.
I was at a party or a lunch over in Santa Clara, and this woman who works for, which I didn't know works for Santa Clara County, started talking about us over here and how innovative we were. And anyway, I said, well, I'm on the board. She said, anyway, she really commended us, and she was speaking mostly to DK and migrant workers. And she said, we were blessed to have as our superintendent. Yeah. I said, come on over.
Thank you. That's a nice way to end our meeting. And at that, we will adjourn.
Thank you.